Hey there, Video Trust. We're back in Portland for May 2025, and in this video, we're going to ask the bike industry these three questions. What's a vintage component or standard you wish would come back? What was your first Grail bike? Last question is, are you feeling optimistic or pessimistic about the bike industry and why? Let's see what they've got to say.
This video is brought to you by Vevel Orange, inspired by tradition but built for today.
What's a vintage component or standard you wish would make a comeback?
Under the bar thumb shifters.
Okay.
Like you remember the old Mavic or the Sun Tour that were V-shaped?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love.
We're already seeing hooked rims come back. That's pretty nice.
They left?
Yeah, they did leave. Being in the tire business, we always have to field all these questions. Are your tires hookless compatible? They all are, but nothing really should be.
Right.
You know, so it's like one of those things. They're trying to cut corners in the industry with carbon rims. This may not be for your channel, but yeah. So yeah, that's a nice thing that we're seeing come back. I'm always going to say rim brakes. You can't say one thing with me. I'm always going to say rim brakes, but I feel like there are enough small builders out here now doing rim brakes to keep Paul making them at least.
Yeah.
Just nice. Square taper, that's my other thing, of course. Wide range doubles, that's something that we really agree upon. Good looking derailleurs, that would be nice. Small derailleurs, how about that?
Nice.
That's novel, huh? Yeah. Derailleur, that's the proper size. You don't see that anymore.
Yeah, well proportioned.
Yeah, well proportioned derailleur. Yeah.
Friction thumb shifters.
How's that quick on the draw?
I love friction. I have since my Sun Tour XC days.
Yeah.
And most of our bikes have friction in our house. So even this 12-speed machine is running friction.
Nice.
I'm not much of a racer, and it just seems to work.
The GXB spindle interface and bottom bracket, I've always loved. Kind of a shame that they went to aluminum oversized spindles. It really is obnoxious. The ball bearings get smaller, doesn't last as long. Yeah.
Finishing on components. Like I love like late 90s XTR. It's just like so pretty. I've got some on my bike hid behind the booth over here, and can we get like less black components and something in the middle that looks nice and premium?
Well, on my bike back here, it's behind the backdrop, but I've got a Shimano 600 derailleur on there that's from the late 90s. So it can do 7 or 8 speed, and it's still running great. I just love that thing. So hopefully, those simple, 2 and 3 by drivetrains from the 80s and 90s, they work great. The shift quality is amazing. There's a lot of space between each cog, which I now know is a big deal for these things to work good. So I just love it because it's just simple and it allows you to enjoy bicycling. Yeah.
Cool. Talked about this last year. Is like bar and shifting is always one of my favorites. I've got my personal gravel bike here with the bar and shifter on it. So I love bar and shifting. So that's definitely one of them for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Better mechanical derailleurs.
Yeah.
That are reparable.
Yeah.
Be fully serviceable. I mean, there's a couple companies out there that are here at the show today. Yo, we should all be doing that.
Right.
Serviceable pedals.
Yeah.
I do that. I service my pedals. I get MKS stuff.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
I like the thumb shifters.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got them right there. I don't know. A thumb shifter always brings me back. I was riding my commuter bike yesterday on the industry ride, and it's got an old, like the original XT thumb shifter on it. And the whole time we're riding around in Forest Park and on single track and everything. And it just brought me back to when I first started mountain biking in the 80s.
Right.
Like when that shifter came out.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's like, it takes a little technique to use it properly, but it's right there, and it hits every time. So,
Friction shifting.
Yeah. All right.
This bike over here actually has friction shifting on it.
Nice.
I love it.
Mechanical brifters. Actually, rim brakes.
Yeah.
Actually, if you guys want a rim brake version of this fork, let them know in the comments because I will do it. We got to sell like 100 of them so I don't go broke. But if you want it, we can do it. We have the technology now. Rim brake road bikes. That's what I want back.
Well, I think rim brakes.
Yeah.
For one thing, I mean, there's a lot of good answers to that question, but I don't ever want rim brakes to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just like the feel of them.
Yeah.
And I've granted, like they have their drawbacks, but like a really nice set of rim brakes on a new rim, new pads, like all that stuff feels so good. It's so quiet, works so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
I still love French style bends. I feel like in a lot of ways they've kind of gone away because you have to use with the flat mount brake, you just can't have that bend, at least a good one. So I think the French style bend is always going to be a beautiful touch for both randonneuring bikes and touring bikes. It gives a little bit of flex, which is nice. And so if we can figure out a way to integrate that
Right.
and still have the flexing, I think that would be a really cool thing to really bring back for disc brakes.
I mean, it's not really gone anywhere, but I obviously love threaded bottom brackets and English threaded. I know T47's cool, but I don't care about internal routing and all that, so not important to me. This is, I guess, kind of vintage, and it's not really gone anywhere, but bull moose bars, I fucking love them. So I just built one on another show bike I have, and so I wish those were like commonplace because they're cool. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really practical, but I really like rod shifting.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm on the first made year I brought in it was an Alphine 8 that was for Di2, which when I bought it, I didn't realize that. So I made a whole rod shifter for it and it was so much fun. So yeah, I like those.
okay.
There's been kind of like a quill stem resurgence lately,
Yeah.
which I really like and I'm here for. So more quill stems.
Nice.
Yeah. More quill stems on modern geos.
1-inch head tubes.
When it's at the why?
Threadless or threaded, or quill. That's a nice ride feel. I've got a bunch of head tube rings I need to be able to put on them, and no one's making the head tubes anymore, at least thick enough for TIG welding. It's just got it's a counter to all the big beer can head tubes. So there's a lot. You need variety.
The seat post collar.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Standard.
Yeah.
No more integrated seat posts and things like that. Like just a regular old nice little seat post collar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, those top tube guards, like the pads.
Oh yeah.
And I know that's weird. I should probably make them, but yeah, I hope that they make a comeback at some point.
Maybe you know a guy.
Yeah.
Mechanical road shifters, brake levers. Those are slowly disappearing. It's really hard to find a set of mechanical road shifters that also have mechanical cable pull brakes.
Right.
We still use those on our Stargazer, and it's like they're so hard to find, and there's so few options for those now.
Yeah.
And then also I would say the cranks with a 24 millimeter steel spindle. We still use Shimano cranks on almost all of our builds, and they're my favorite cranks. And I wish more companies would use the steel spindle instead of the oversized aluminum. Even though that's, I'm sure aluminum has all the stiffness benefits and stuff like that, but I'm a little somewhat old-fashioned, I guess. Maybe not quite as old-fashioned as, asking for everything to go back to square taper bottom brackets, but, I got to draw my line in the sand somewhere, so.
Vevel Orange is a passionate team of bike nerds that loves bikes just like us. Their motto is inspired by tradition but built for today. They have classic-looking bikes and parts that fit modern standards. VO parts are a great way to give your bike that custom bike bling at a reasonable price. Huge thanks to Vevel Orange for making our Made coverage this year possible.
Second question is, what was your first Grail bike? The bike that caught your imagination.
It was probably the Breezer Jetstream. When Joe, I was working at Joe, and God, how old was I? It was, I don't know. I was probably just out of college, and I saw it, and when everybody else was like splattering paint all over the place, in neon colors. I mean, it was the definition of elegance for me. It had logic tubing, Hongay logic tubing, and Ritchie crank, and it was just, my mind is still fixed in that area. So.
Well, I grew up in the 90s, so I'm 44. It was the Schwinn Homegrown in the mid-90s that came out, and I just thought that was the coolest bike ever.
My first Grail bike was a spooky dark side, made by Frank the Welder, back when spooky was growing up straight edge hardcore in Connecticut and being a cross country mountain bike racer in the 90s, and having all of that under one roof and spooky was like the coolest thing for me.
Right.
And I think at the peak of spooky, they were making like 800 frames a year or something, all made by Frank the Welder in Connecticut.
Right.
And I always wanted the dark side.
Yeah.
And I never was too expensive, but now we have Frank making bikes for us, and I was like, this is the coolest thing. So, dreams do come true. Yeah.
I guess I was in elementary school, and there was a kid in my neighborhood who had a Mongoose BMX bike, and he was the coolest kid. I was so jealous. And then I worked at it, and my parents helped me, and I got I got a BMX Mongoose bike, put the pegs on it and everything, rode around the neighborhood, went to the pool, and then I had that bike almost all the way through college before it got stolen.
14 years old, Pinarello, you know, like, you know, I'm in my 50s, so it's like I look back, it was like, you know, seeing those in the bike magazines with, you know, the guys who were aboard them, you know, it was like, yeah, that was it. So
Yeah, it's probably like an Oddity or a Black Sheep mountain bike. When I first started following custom frame builders, I think when I saw that, I never had one of those, unfortunately. But like when I saw those sort of titanium swoopy tubes, I'm big fans of both of those builders. Both of them are friends, and so those were the first bikes I was like, I would love to be a frame builder someday and build bikes like that.
First was the PK Ripper BMX bike that I wanted to buy with my paper route money. And my parents were like, you're 15, you're gonna get your driver's license next year. And like, you're not buying that. And they were right. Like, I wanted to buy a frame and I didn't know what I was gonna get myself into with that. And like, so yeah, there was that. But then when it was mountain biking, it would have been like, actually, I ended up buying it eventually, the Ibis Mojo. Okay. Yeah. So that was my Grail mountain bike, and I ended up getting one in '94.
I wanted a low pro track pursuit frame forever.
Yeah.
And when I was like 20, I got a hold of a Chinelli mash that had gotten smashed in like a break-in, and so it was all scraped up. He's like, "Oh, I'll give it to you at cost." I was like, "Cool, awesome, sick." And I put a 650C in the front and ruined the handling. And so eventually I went to building a new one, but that was my first one, was low pro.
Yeah. Can I give you an answer, like a bike I never actually got?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, it was a custom Joseph Ahern.
Okay.
Yeah, I pined after one of those for years. When I finally had enough money to buy one, I built myself a bike instead.
Crazy is like I never owned any cool bikes till I started frame building other than like a Surly, you know. But okay, I would have to say a Surly Krampus. It kind of changed my life. I've owned the OG one since like 2012, 2013 when it came out, and honestly that bike shaped a lot of my hardtails and stuff. I really liked the geo of it and the big tires, obviously, and it was really pretty, the sparkly green color. And so I'd say for me, it's not like that fancy of a bike, but for me, that was like the shit.
Probably a Klein Quantum with the internal routing and the faded paint job.
Yeah.
Those were made pretty close to where I grew up, so those have a soft spot in my heart. Cool.
My Atlantis I got in 2022. And then now this 2000 Atlantis that's sitting behind the booth that someone gave me. So yeah.
Nice. I see a pattern.
Yeah. I like pretty bikes.
Yeah.
I like lugs. I don't want to ride a bike that's ugly.
Yeah.
I like literally cannot enjoy a bike unless it's pretty.
My first real mountain bike was a 2004 Specialized Enduro. Yeah, Specialized Enduro. I bought it from my buddy's dad, and he made me make payments on it over, the course of 6 months. And we drew up a contract and all the stuff. And the first thing I did is I tore off the first and third chain ring, and I made aluminum bash guards for it and made it a 1x9, and it just chain slapped all the way down the trail. But that was like my first real bike, and I just love the heck out of it. It's all raw aluminum.
Yeah.
I got to ride one recently, and they ride terribly. But man, it was fun at the time.
So there is a bicycle. It is an NJS track bike. It's called the Kalavinka Sunset, and it is the bike that started frame building for me. And it's like this, I think it might be chrome, and then it's like a pink to purple candy, like translucent fade.
Yeah.
And that was the bike that I saw that made me want to make bicycles.
There were two. So the very first one was a Cannondale frame that was used. I pinched my pennies, and it had a beautiful custom paint job. It looked like a salmon. And I think I love the paint more than the bike because the bike broke. The second one was a Voodoo and it was, I want to say, the Hoodoo model. And I was able to configure that with my own parts and pieces, including 8-speed XT top mount thumb shifters.
Nice.
Bridgestone MB1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or also MB Zip.
Yeah.
All those fork crowns and that bike. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at our Pacenti crowns on this bike.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, Pacenti came out with that crown off that.
Yeah.
I had one. I finally got one. I was so excited when I got it.
Yeah.
You know, those are great bikes. They ride amazing.
SE quad angle BMX bike when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Those were the holy grail bike. No one in my town had one. They always seemed very expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. And then all the bikes since then I've been able to make myself. So
It's the advantage of being a builder.
yeah, you know, oh, I like the look of that one. I think I'll try that.
Well, I ended up getting it, but it was a Aaron Ross Stairmaster frame. It had like really cool, funky graphics, real 80s bike, and it was made by FBM, and I eventually got one, so that was cool.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a BMX bike. I'm like, oh,
Man, when I was a kid, I just wanted gears. I don't know why. Yeah, and my parents like made me wait until I was like old enough to like,
Right.
I guess, figure it out, where I wasn't gonna like die like not having a coaster brake.
Yeah.
I've gone through several phases. I went through my track racing phase back in the early 2000s, and I was really like an Eddie Merckx. Eddie Merckx track bike was like totally a Grail bike for me, or one of those like BT, like Australian carbon, you know, racing bikes back in the day.
Yeah.
And then when I was in the Bay Area, it was a bike from like a Hunter Cycles or Retrotech, or you know, one of those frame builders. Now I've actually gotten bikes from some of those builders, and like Cameron Falconer made our initial prototype. So I've had some like, I've been able to like live some real dreams, and
Nice.
like, yeah, I've been really lucky with the bikes that I've been able to have. Right now, at this point now with Tumbleweed, it's like I'm so lucky to be in a position where it's like I can think about what do I really want, and then it might be a couple year process and cost a lot of money, but I'm in a fortunate position to be able to kind of develop my own kind of Grail bikes at this point.
Final question is, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the state of the bike industry, and why?
Well, you see, if you're into complete bikes, you know, like track or specialized giant, it looks very dismal, you know, because all you did with COVID was kind of like cash for clunkers, where you just hollowed out the market for the next 10 years, and then you've got 10 years worth of stock in your warehouse. In parts and accessories, let's put it this way. 100 million Americans went out and started riding their bikes. I'd say 5 to 10% of them stayed with it. And of those people, they don't want a new bike. They already bought a new bike. What they were going to do is they're going to upgrade. They're going to service their bike. They're going to do stuff. That's what we do. You know, we do stuff like that, you know, stuff that doesn't exist, things like that. And it's not bad. You know, it's, we kind of stay away from complete bikes.
Right.
You know, the main problem is every time we do a complete bike, why'd you put that on there? Why didn't you put this on there? I'd buy it if it wasn't for this, you know. Then instead, if you sell all the components, to say, do it yourself. You know, I'm not telling you what to do.
You can only blame yourself at that point.
Oh yeah, you know, I've never got it right. You can never get it right.
It's been a rough 3 years. Like, we are still hurting post-pandemic, and now I think consumer confidence is our biggest problem.
Yeah.
People are afraid to spend their money because of this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
But it's going to come back. And it always does. I've been doing this I've been making bikes for 22 years, and I've been in the bike industry for 35.
Yeah.
And it goes up and down, and we're down right now, and it's going to go back up. So I'm optimistic for that. I wish I knew when it was going to happen.
What I'm optimistic about is, you know, a lot of people dusted off their old bikes during COVID. A lot of people got new bikes until there weren't any available. And a lot of those bikes are hanging up in garages again now. But there's a contingent of people who got the bug, right? Like we've got it, and love those people.
In these last couple of years, I found that deep in my core, I'm an optimist. I tend to be grumpy a lot, but I overshadow all of that with a rosy highlight. So I think bikes are here to stay.
Yeah.
The bike industry, like all industries, will have ups and downs, and maybe some people will survive, some won't. But bikes have been here, they'll always be here, and I'm happy to be a part of that.
I'm feeling, again, I've been trying to talk to people about tariffs more and more. I don't know, I'm obsessed with it because our tires were imported from Japan, our caps are imported from Italy, um, all of the tubing for our bikes are imported from Italy, aluminum and steel. And of course, our shoes from Japan. All of our prices we've had to raise, and it sucks because it's just like these things are already expensive, right? And that's the bespoke bicycle industry. That things are already expensive here, and you just hope that the customer is rich enough to afford our. It sounds shitty when you say it, but you just have to be like, I hope everyone else is well off enough to buy our stuff, because otherwise, I have to be a gym teacher again. So yeah, I'm pessimistic in that regard, but I'm optimistic in that we still seem to figure out a way to keep it going, and so I like to think that other people are too. I haven't talked to many people about how they're doing financially or whatever, but there's always like some, like 32-inch wheels, for example, like that's only going to be in this space for a little while, because you can't make that at scale. It's too risky at this point. So
So you guys aren't coming out with 32s anytime.
try. I always thought it's like, oh, I'm all about novelty wheel sizes. Like I love that stuff, and a company our size to make a tire like that is perfect, because we could pay off that mold if we were like the only ones making it.
Right.
It's only that Maxxis Aspen that's being made. So, but Panaracer can't. That's a lot of money to, like, their vulcanizing machines are specific for 700, 650B, 24-inch, and so 20-inch, and so on. So, whenever they do open that mold up, if this trend isn't gone in 2 years, maybe we'll have it. But it's cool. I think so. Like, it's like the kitschy, weird stuff that people in this industry can make that bigger industry can't. And because of media like you or Instagram or whatever, the online media, we're able to reach people that we wouldn't be able to reach if we didn't have this. So,
We can reach the weirdos, the fellow weirdo.
precisely, and that's where it's at.
Both. Yeah. I think our little niche part of the world is a really good place to be in the bike industry. Not that it's not with its massive challenges, but it feels like a good place to be. I always had this, like, the too small to fail kind of mentality, where we're so small and we're working on such creative small projects on a small scale. I try to keep my business a very small scale. It's only custom work. And you work with really great customers, and you do really unique stuff every time you build a bike. So that's really fun. As a macro, you could stretch that into politics or economics. It's pretty grim, so it's hard not to be pessimistic about that. But I think this show shows how much energy there really is still around custom bikes and cycling itself and everything else. So that's super energizing and fun to come out to.
I don't really see myself in the bike industry. Like, I see myself as a designer I see myself as a YouTuber now. So we're all on the rise, right? But I'm pretty optimistic. Like, I would say this fork, this 32, it really reinforced my belief in myself. Like, I had this vision that no one else was doing, and I'm like, I think it has a good idea. And then I have all the tools and skills and friends now to be able to execute those. So pretty optimistic, And I feel like if you measure everything as a commercial success, you end up, selling ads on Facebook, right? Like that's commercial success. But if you measure it in like the vision you're able to manifest, the art that you're able to create, the people that you're able to make happy, I think, that's what I'm optimistic about.
I'm very optimistic about the bike industry, but I'm not super concerned about like profits or market share or any of that. I'm an enthusiast, and this whole building is full of other enthusiasts. And I think, like, no matter what the rest of the industry does, we will still do this. And so I'm optimistic about that for sure.
I'm optimistic because it's the best option for me to be that way, but it really is up in the air. As a frame builder, I'm kind of scraping by. I'm also pretty new, so I've only been really running this as a business for 2 years, and really only building a few more years than that. So every month is like a question, is this going to keep going type thing? But luckily I am optimistic because things have been growing, and slow is a very slow rate, but they haven't gone backwards yet. For me personally, I am a little worried about like things getting more expensive, like on my end. But to be honest, like I haven't seen anything too drastic that couldn't be like soaked up yet. But I'm also not that in tune with all that, so it could blindside me, I'm sure, at some point. But yeah, right now, I choose to be optimistic because I need to be to keep going. So yeah.
It's a great question. I mean, you could kind of look at it a million ways. We're optimistic. Like, it's fun to be a part of this. It is in kind of a down point, if you will. But I think that probably for any business in any industry, if you can survive when it's not good and you know, hunker down and do smart things, then it can pay off when there's when the tide rises. So yeah, that's
Capital B bike industry or my little corner of it?
Either.
My corner, I think, is pretty good, actually. I think a lot of us small builders are able to be a little more nimble and respond to things. Big bike industry, yeah. Private equity's in there, so that never ends well. I think as long as there's small brands that are doing really kind of fun stuff like this and sort of democratizing the what's available and not just leaving it to the big brands just to put out whatever is driven by whatever the newest group set is or the latest buzzwords or the latest wheel size or whatever. I think as long as there's people who are willing to be independent and make stuff that interests them, I think that'll serve the industry overall. So I feel like there's always been this worry about big companies kind of just homogenizing the whole industry, but it's cool to be at the show like this and see all the kind of far out stuff that the small builders are making and how that's going to influence and trickle down to some of the bigger companies. So it's always like really reassuring to see.
Optimistic. And honestly, this weekend, everyone's really excited. Like I keep asking people if they've had any like jerks visiting their booths. I think it's a self-selecting crowd though. People want to be here, but everyone is excited. They want innovation in the bike industry. They want to keep buying bikes and enjoying bikes. And it's looking different. There definitely is less money being spent in the bike industry, but working for a company that deals with distribution and wholesaling and deals with a lot of buying and selling internationally, overall, I think it's trending up.
I would say optimistic in that there's a lot of people riding bikes. I mean, this is for a show to exist like this, it's very evident. I don't think people are going to stop riding bikes or anything like that. And COVID just, I think, accelerated it. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely people that fell off, but there's a lot of people that bought bikes then and now they're buying parts and accessories from us to fix them up or modify them or whatever. So we've seen a really big pickup in parts and accessories for us. As far as I'm generally optimistic about this sort of thing because we're only going to get better infrastructure from here, ideally, better infrastructure from here on out. And we've seen more trains adding bike cars, which is a good thing.
There's a lot of both. Largely pessimistic. But when you come to a place like this and you have so many friends here and so many people that are aligned and trying to do the same thing, it gives you it's a breath of fresh air. It makes you feel really good to be part of it. And just to get to see so many good people, it's such a filter for just amazing humans here that are just so creative and have just good heart behind what they're doing. So that feels really good.
Maybe pessimistic for high end, so basically everyone here, but optimistic for bikes in general because when time gets harder, the bike gets more popular.
I'm feeling optimistic about the bike industry because I feel like corporate bike America is dying. And I hope that all of the small builders and manufacturers that are out there will finally kind of have a chance to really shine and do something worthwhile for everyone. And that's not just build it and throw it away.
A little bit of both, I'd say. I've had a lot of part of the reason I like to come to these shows is to have those conversations with other people that do the same thing that I do, because it can be a very kind of like everybody works alone all the time. And I think there's something called the frame builder depression going around. Everybody seems to have it. It's like in one way reassuring that it's not like you that feels that way, it's everybody. But the bike industry goes through these ebbs and flows. We're in a dip right now, and it's hard for creatives. Everything's really expensive. A lot of times people don't value how much things cost and how long things take. People are tighter with their money, so it's a difficult time to make luxury custom objects. I want to say optimistic, but it is, I think, a difficult time for a lot of small creatives, especially as a niche of the industry. I think the industry at large will be fine. You know, there's a lot of smaller brands that are going out of business. There's a lot of bike shops that are going out of business, closing left and right. Hopefully the big fish don't just eat everybody, but you know, it goes.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, they're making a lot of these like wagon wheel bikes now, so that'll be interesting. We'll just have to go through that, you know, 4 or 5 years of that, and then everyone will just go back, and 29-inch wheels will look small, and
Right.
I don't know. I think it's doing okay, and this shows really highlights that and the positiveness, and I think people gotta like realize that we're like in it together, even if they don't ride like a pedal bike. Maybe they're on a scooter or e-bike. That we're all on the same team, and just I don't know, they care about each other.
I'm feeling super optimistic. I went full time with this in April.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And it's been overwhelmingly awesome for me. I mean, just the experience of not having a second job to worry about, being able to put all my time into this and actually thinking about it as a business a little bit.
Right.
And I've seen just the progression of me being able to get things done more efficiently and being able to work with vendors and having more relationships is, excuse me, been a lot. It's been a lot.
I don't know. Ask me maybe in a couple more months. Obviously, with tariff climate, there's still yet a lot of things yet to shake out with what kind of an impact that's going to have on our business.
Yeah.
Being at the show, this always I always leave here feeling optimistic about just how many people are enthusiastic about the hand-built side of the industry, and there's such talented creative people here that love what they do and contribute a ton to this whole corner of this bike world that we operate in. And so yeah, I am trying to maintain my optimism. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.